Hey everybody, it's your old pal James. The movie review that you're about to watch, I recorded weeks ago, and because of some reshuffling with the new comic books that are happening, we didn't get to put out the video when we wanted to. And now we are preparing for some really big, juicy storyline videos that are involving a lot of filming, a lot of prep work, and to fill the void, so there's definitely a video out today. We're gonna put out my Batman The Long Halloween Part 2 review right now. It's what you're watching, it's what you clicked on, you know. Get ready, I'm gonna have longer hair, I'm gonna be wearing headphones, and I'm gonna be slightly younger. I know that I'll look noticeably younger in the review. You'll be like, oh man, he looked really old in that opening, like 12 days later or something, you know? Connor, figure out how to edit this part in a way that doesn't seem really abrupt. I was wrong. I was very wrong. But it's a pretty good movie. Spoilers ahead for Batman The Long Halloween Part 2 and Part 1 probably, but I'm gonna break this review up into non-spoilers and spoilers just like I did last time. If you haven't checked out my Part 1 Long Halloween review, it's up there somewhere. Click it your way. And if you haven't caught that review, I will reiterate that I am judging this movie or set of movies as its own thing because I have not read Batman The Long Halloween the comic. Don't click away. Look, I didn't read decades of comics before watching the DCAU as a kid. I think it's completely valid to just have an opinion on an animated movie as an animated movie. So with that being said, let's just jump right into it, okay? Philip DeFranco, copyright Philip DeFranco. This was a pretty good movie. I didn't like it as much as I liked the first one, but I'm looking forward to watching this as like a complete package. I'm sure they're gonna do one of those releases like they did with Death of Superman or The Dark Knight Returns, where you can just watch it as one giant Titanic-length movie. I miss when you had to watch Titanic on 2 VHS tapes. Those were the days, but not really. I love how this one just starts, it just goes, there's no intro, we just get the opening credits. The title of the movie also came up in a pretty cool little animation instead of just fading in over the top of a bathtub of gun blood or whatever it did last time. The voice acting continued to be great. I really like Jensen Ackles as Batman. Occasionally he's pulling me out of it by me knowing it's Jensen Ackles. I can't picture anything else except that Batman should have been driving a, what is it called? Supernatural car. Batman should have been driving an Impala. That would have been a good Easter egg. I appreciate the new Batman Adventures Batmobile, which we didn't get to see this time, but you know, you have to choose which fans to appease, I guess. That being said, his Bruce Wayne voice I actually really liked. We didn't get to hear that in Part 1 because he was just talking in his normal Batman voice, even as Bruce Wayne. When he had to be around other people in this movie, he put on a Bruce Wayne voice, and that was even less Jensen Ackles-y than it was before.
It's Bruce. Can I get you anything?
We had Katie Sackhoff as Poison Ivy. Somehow with all the different press releases and stuff we were getting, I completely missed that until a few weeks ago. She didn't talk that much, but she has that sort of soft sexiness to her voice that we got with the B-Task Poison Ivy. The leaves in her hair were kind of reminiscent of the comic. I talked in the last review about the animation style not matching the Tim Sale artwork and blah blah blah, so it was kind of nice going into this one just knowing like, yep, continuing from the first movie, I don't have any expectations besides the same kind of tone, the same style. There's not a lot else I can say about the movie that's not spoilers, because there is a lot of stuff in this movie, but there was a conversation between two villainous characters that I thought was really well written. It was a really nice compare and contrast these two characters' lives and experiences, and it's two characters that we never got to see interact in the DCAU, so my brain was just kind of filling in the blanks, pretending it was for that moment. It was really nice. There were two guards at Arkham Asylum that reminded me of the policemen from Seaboard City in the Justice Guild episode. I don't think that was on purpose, but I thought that was kind of neat, I guess. And overall, this is just a really great looking Batman. I really like the design. The final shot we see of him in the movie is almost Darwin Cook looking. It's a really stripped down basic Batman design, like your Batman the Animated Series, like your New Frontier, like your Year One, but it has every little bit that you would expect to be on Batman. There's not a bunch of extra armor plates or extra fabric texture, unnecessary highlights. Every line has a purpose on the costume, on the face. It's all just enough. It might be my top 5, I don't know, animated Batman designs. Shape of the cowl, all that stuff. Choice. And of course, the action continued to be great in this movie. I think that's one of the best parts of the new animation style they're going with. It's very clean, it's very readable. I know everything everyone is doing in every shot. You know, the Bruce Timm art style in those cartoons, every action line had a kind of flow to it. You know, a character would throw their arm out and you'd see the line, you would see the momentum in everyone's movements. And I haven't seen that for a while in DC animation, so it's here, and it's really nice. It makes me feel good. But I think that's all I can talk about that's not spoiling the movie. If you haven't seen it yet, go watch it. Yeah, let's get into spoilers. There wasn't enough Poison Ivy. I needed more Katie Sackhoff in this movie for starters, but also just the Ivy design and the discomfort I felt when she was on screen in the way that the character is meant to make you feel. All of that made me wish that there was more Ivy. I understand she's not very important to the story, probably wasn't in the comic any more than she was here, maybe a little bit, I don't know. Still wish there was more. The scene where Batman confronts Scarecrow in the forest and he does all the fear gas stuff, the art style change there, the hallucination scene, one of the coolest things I've seen in a DC animated movie in quite a while. The art style almost becomes closer to the Tim Sale style in that scene than the rest of the movie. That might have been on purpose. It's not exactly the same, but it's like kind of more angular, rougher edges. And then of course there was a really nice momentary fake out with you think you're seeing a flashback to the Wayne's death, but it's just a different family. Here comes Batman stumbling through the alleyway. And then of course we do have to see Batman's origin in actuality for the 300th time. A lot of people have a problem with being shown the Wayne's death scene in every Batman movie, and it does get a little bit old, but I always think to myself, like, what if this is someone's first time watching a Batman thing? Okay, I've been avoiding Batman my entire life somehow. Let me give this a shot. Wait, like somehow they don't know his parents died. They're watching the scene like, what's going on? Why is he so upset about his mom? I don't understand. And then they show the deaths. Oh, I get it now. I try to rationalize it that way to make myself not annoyed, but they didn't dwell on it in this, which is nice. It came and went. Just a quick reminder. Parents are dead. Next scene. During that though, I think Sigmund Freud might have something to say about Bruce seeing Catwoman as his mom. Apparently Bruce Wayne is paying off people to give alibis for where Bruce Wayne has been, which I guess they're probably the kind of people that would come to his house for big mansion parties. But you would think that that would either make Bruce Wayne seem really guilty to those people, like what was he doing on the night of all the murders? Or someone would start to catch on that he's Batman. Did Scarecrow have to have a CGI horse? Why couldn't they just draw a horse? That was a question I had for half of this movie. There's like 3 or 4 scenes where Scarecrow's on a horse and the horse is just computer animated, moving very stilted and weird compared to everything else. It works for vehicles. There's, every car you see on the street in these movies is that. I don't know if it works for horse. The majority of this movie is about Harvey Dent and his transformation into Two-Face and what that means for the universe and for his own life, for his relationships. There's an artist on Instagram that we follow that does character models for these movies. I apologize that your name is not embedded in my brain yet. It's here on screen. They posted a Batman character design a few months ago around the time of Man of Tomorrow pre-production, I would guess, which we all kind of assumed was the model that they used for that photograph of Batman in that movie. And there's been some tweaks between then and this Batman in this movie, I think. But there was a shot of Batman standing on the roof next to Catwoman that looked pretty dang close to that model, enough to make me a little bit more convinced that this is the same universe. But obviously what really convinces you is the post-credits 5 seconds, which we will get to. So I got a lot of Two-Face stuff to mention. I don't know if the Batman Forever courtroom Two-Face acid splash origin comes from this story. I wouldn't be surprised if it did, but it is basically the same thing as that movie. I'm showing my hand at basically only knowing the animated stuff. I know some comic book things. I have Batman t-shirts. So my prediction last video about Harvey Dent being 2 split personalities, one was committing the murders, one was being Harvey Dent. I think the movie wanted you to think that also. Tim Sheridan, Yew making me think stuff, but that wasn't the case. Even Harvey thought it was for a little bit. We'll get to that at the end, of who the real holiday killer was. But it did seem kind of weird to me. This is probably from the comic. I'm sure that there was just an explosion fake out in the first part. Oh, you think it's going to turn him into Two-Face, but it didn't. And then now the actual Two-Face face burning. Because I was expecting something to happen at some point, it didn't really catch me off guard. It was like, I don't know. It wasn't as dramatic as it might have been, but if you're adapting the comic and that's how it happens in the comic, you can only do so much. It's still always interesting to me to see how Batman characters have to be kind of mildly reimagined, reinterpreted every time that you see them, because there's their origins and they're all household names. Every main Batman hero and villain, everybody knows who that is, and likely knows how they became who they are, which I guess is antithetical to my little speech there about seeing the Wayne's murders over and over again. But since I know Harvey Dent is gonna get his half of his face messed up at some point, anything past his very first appearance has to start trying to, oh, you thought it was this, but it's actually this kind of a deal. Even Batman the Animated Series did this, because his Harvey Dent, the very first time you see him, he's flipping a coin, he's sitting in a dark corner of the room. The episode where he becomes Two-Face is called Two-Face. Like, this was not a shocker to anybody, maybe some stupid kid. So I don't know if that's an unfortunate thing or a cool thing. It gives you opportunities to tell a different version of the story every time, but it's also almost a little cliche to be like, oh, it's like this Batman character, but different. Just a little different. We're really artistic coming up with, just that you didn't expect it to be that. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. I think that it's neat to see, but I wish it didn't have to happen. But moving on. When he becomes Two-Face, his voice is pretty Richard Mole-esque.
I have to tell you, Jimbo, your gun has come in handy.
I assume that the voice he did for Two-Face in Batman the Animated Series has kind of just become the go-to. What does Two-Face sound like? Oh yeah, this. Because I mean, Troy Baker's putting on a Mark Hamill impression for Joker in this.
Nancy, hold all my calls. I have to terminate someone.
Katie Sackhoff is doing a pretty similar voice to Diane Pershing.
Alone at last.
We didn't get to hear Penguin.
On guard, you sanctimonious!
I don't think Scarecrow or Mad Hatter really sounded like the ones from the animated series.
So we can do whatever we want with him. What fun.
Basically what I'm trying to say is it was nice, it was cool. They did the same thing with Death in the Family a few months ago. Two-Face just sounds like Richard Mole Two-Face, and he will forever. Sorry, actors who voiced Joker and Penguin and etc. in like Super Friends, nobody remembers or cares apparently. Anything before 1992, they're just like, huh, what was that? Excuse me? His scarred half of his face being red makes more logical sense, but I definitely do prefer a more vibrant, weird, random color like blue or green or whatever we've seen before in other versions, other interpretations. And I also kind of wish that they kept his like slightly shredded on this side suit instead of the more campy, like straight line, perfectly separated colors suit. Also, how did his hand get red? Was it from him grabbing his face? They didn't really make that very clear, but being very picky, I'm a visual guy. Someone tell me in the comments, was Renee Montoya in the original comic, or did they throw her in because B-Tass is bae? Let me know, I don't know. Okay, then last for spoilers is just gonna be my opinion on the holiday killer being Gilda Dent. Oh, weird, whoa, I had no idea. Actually, I didn't know that. As soon as I put out my first review, there were a handful of comments and people on Discord, people on message boards, etc. that were hypothesizing it was going to be Gilda, and that totally made sense to me after I said all my weird fan theories last time. I think if the person's face had been completely cloaked or something, it wrapped in a kind of black, morph suity kind of face thing, maybe I would buy that it was Gilda more. But since we see so many close-ups of the face and it looks like Harvey's eyeline, it's a bulky, like big man body, like me, I guess I'm just confused how it was Gilda. There are little trickery things, like I guess spoilers for Batman Mask of the Phantasm. Skip the next 10 seconds if you haven't seen that movie, please. But you know, Andrea Beaumont in a big phantasm costume. She pulls it off. Her waist is immediately a Dana Delaney, you know what I'm saying? But this just seemed like a lot harder to fake being a big dude. Like, obviously the movie wants me to think that, but if this was like a live action thing, there was no explanation at the end for, oh, I was wearing a big like wire suit with a suit over the top of that, or I was wearing a mask or anything like that. If you put side by side the close-up that we see at the end of part 1 and Gilda's face, they are not the same face. There's no Scooby-Doo pull the mask off kind of moment. Not that there needed to be, but I guess that's just gonna bug me. At the same time though, this apparently is a change to the comic. I guess in the original it was Alberto, who we assumed it was going to be in part 1, and then he gets killed, and oh, what's going on? I don't know what's happening. So I'm totally fine with this being the reveal in part 2, because I didn't know what to expect. I had no idea who it was going to be. And comparing it to what I know about the comic, this doesn't seem like a change that would make people upset. In fact, I've only seen positive reactions to it so far, as opposed to Hush, Gotham by Gaslight. If there's any others, I can't think of any others that they changed drastically like that. What's that guy's name in Killing Joke that Bruce Timm made up? French Fries or something like that. What the fuck was his name? Oh, Paris Franz or something, right? Turns out he was Batgirl the whole time. Something I wish we could have seen is some really tiny inserted scene of some kind, or throwaway line maybe, where Two-Face more begrudgingly hires all these colorful supervillains to take down Falcone, because there's not any moment like that. And I know that he's not Harvey Dent anymore. You would think that whatever personality would still be like, oh yeah, we just tried to get the Joker last movie, and now I'm just standing right next to him, working with him. But that's okay. I'm being critical of a movie that I really liked. I liked it a lot. There weren't any overt DCAU references in this, other than kind of the voice actor stuff I talked about, or just an overall atmosphere. The Batarangs didn't have that sound that I talked about last time. But Tim, I am still waiting on that Batmobile CGI model file. If you email me, info@watchtowerdatabase.com, just send it over. That'd be great. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Yeah, thanks. Like I said, I think I liked part 1 better, but this was still a pretty dang solid movie. It'll be better as one long movie, I think. And like part 1, the ending of this still felt like just a little bit lackluster. Final, like the credits started rolling and I actually said, oh, it's over? But that being said, what is next for the Tomorrowverse? Because I think we can officially say for sure that this is part of it. Gary.
It's time to clean up your act, Gary.
The post-credits scene has Flash from the JSA movie, who we've already seen with Superman from Man of Tomorrow, and also a Green Arrow, who we haven't seen yet until this. That moment did feel like it was maybe tacked on at the very last second. It's animated in that kind of CG traditional hybrid, like they did like one drawing and just had the computer move everyone's chins and eyes. All Flash does is he's just standing there in a kind of awkward pose and he just nods weird. So I don't know if that was a like, oh, we should probably put in a thing to make people go like, oh, they are the same. I'm excited for next time now. I don't know. Who's to say? But that choice with the CG there does make it a lot more obvious that the rest of the movie and all of these connected movies are not animated like that for the majority of the time. There was like one episode of Invincible that was animated like this the whole episode, and it was very jarring, and I didn't like it. But I did like the Halloween costume on the little kid. The Batman costume had that yellow line around the bat like we've seen in the Rebirth stuff lately. So it makes me wonder if maybe next time we'll see Batman in a different costume, or if they'll keep this one. Really hope they keep Jensen Ackles. I don't know why they wouldn't. He comes off to me as more of a like one-off, oh yeah, let's get Jensen Ackles as Batman. I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that he continues to be part of this, because he did a good job. Everybody did. The whole cast, come back, please. So now I'm looking forward to seeing Superman, Batman, Flash, Green Arrow, maybe Wonder Woman, if she comes over from the other universe, or if this universe has a Wonder Woman or whatever, all those other guys. And I guess I don't really have anything else to say. Good movie, go watch it, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell because it tells you when we post videos. Do not rely on anything else. Tell you when a new video is out. You can join our Discord. I at everyone whenever a new video comes out. That's not annoying at all, I'm sure. And I'm just looking at our video schedule right now. There's just a bunch of other cool things coming up, but I don't want to tell you about them yet because I don't want to spoil things. That's it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Tim, send me that Batmobile. Thank you. All right, bye.
Alfred makes a terrific Mai Tai.
It's 8:30 in the